On a sunny and warm Tuesday morning in Northeast Ohio, welcome on into a Bull and Fox edition of the Bullpen. I'm Adam the Bull. He's Dustin Fox. And there he is. And we are back together again after a couple of weeks. And oh boy, do we have a huge topic to talk about. The blockbuster trade of Myles Garrett. We'll get into all the details on it. Dustin, how you doing, man?
Adam, I'm doing well, buddy. Good to be back with you. I know we've had some, off the field issues we've had to obviously deal with both personally.
Yeah.
And, obviously, we don't have to go into details on it. I'm sure you've shared quite a bit, and
Sure.
I know you've shared quite a bit, but with your mother, and my mom's had some illness here recently that we've been dealing with. So good to be back with you. I'll say, I'll leave it at that. How about that?
Yeah, it's nice to be on the air. They've been doing construction at my house, like not at my house, on the street.
Okay.
For like months now. Like I'm absolutely losing my mind. And my son was late getting, it's the last week of school.
Sure.
He's getting into summer mode. So he was a little late. So he usually walks to school every day. But today was a little late, so my wife was going to drive him. And we opened the door to the front house, and there's a huge hole right in front of our driveway. So we couldn't possibly drive out. They'll cover it up before I got to leave in an hour. But so anyway, he ended up riding his bike to school to get there a little quicker. But I mean, if you hear some like pounding and crazy noise, I don't know if it gets picked up at all. But I'm sick of this. There's dust everywhere. I'm losing my mind.
Dude, there's construction literally everywhere. I know there's always construction going on. But this is like the year in the summer that all the construction affects me in every walk of my life.
Well,
to get downtown Cleveland is impossible right now.
Why? What's? Oh, yeah, 176 is closed, right?
176 is closed, so that forces all the traffic onto 77.
Yeah.
And if there's any sort of a little, fender bender or anything, 20 minutes added on your drive time. There's no other way because there's so much more traffic. But
that stinks.
And then downtown, the exit that I typically get off at to come to UCSS is closed there at 14th. And the 22nd, whatever it is. And so you have to go around. It's just a pain. Anyway, no one cares.
It feels like we're in New York here. Like, this is why I got out of New York to not deal with this shit. And
I know.
We got it on my street, Center Ridge Road in Rocky River, which is like one of the two main thoroughfares in Rocky River has construction. Thoroughfares. You like that fancy language? Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. Yeah, you're right. 176. Well, I've driven back and forth to New York twice in the last, few weeks. And the worst is like driving back and you've already done like 7 hours in the car. And now I got to sit in traffic on 77 because 176 is closed because I usually take 176. So anyway, but we survived. By the way, one funny thing I got to share. Last night, before we get to the Myles Garrett trade, and we'll spend the rest of the time on that. Last night we had a game. Our kids were playing, and it was a wild game. We lost 14-12, because whatever. But one of my two assistant coaches got ejected from the game by the umpire. And this is ridiculous. The umpire was being a real softy. I mean, we were frustrated by some of the balls and strike calls on our pitchers, and he comes up to me to complain, and the umpire overheard him complaining to me and threw him out of the game. In kids baseball.
What an ego this guy had to have.
It was so silly.
To throw somebody out of this game. I mean, dude, but by the way, I'm sure you saw that video of that coach that told his son to throw into the thing.
That was ridiculous. That was I don't accept behavior like that.
No,
in fact, I talked to my kids and said, because I lost my cool a little bit, but I was just talking like amongst the coaches. We were just getting frustrated. But anyway, it was so silly. But we got a good little team there. We're 5-3. I think we got a chance to win our league championship, but we'll see. All right. Anyway, let's get to the big move. The big move of yesterday, Myles Garrett. And by the way, I'm still waiting for those apologies for the fans that said we shouldn't talk about Myles Garrett trade. He's not getting traded. When there was no other reason to adjust his contract at the time back in March or whatever that was. But I'm sure those apologies will be coming soon. Myles Garrett, arguably the greatest defensive player in the NFL, arguably the greatest defensive player in Browns history, one of the best players, period, if not the best player in Browns history, has been traded to the Rams as of yesterday when I went on live. the trade, what we knew was it would be Jared Verse, who was a first-round pick of the Rams in 24 and has been a very good player through 2 years, and then a first-round pick in 27. That's what we knew. We now know that in addition to that, the Browns will get a second-round pick from the Rams in 2028 and a third-round pick from the Rams in 2029. So, Dustin, now that you've seen the whole trade, what do you think of what the Browns did here?
Oh, I think it's an absolute win for the Browns in terms of today, because the Browns are not winning anything anytime soon. They still are in a rebuild mode, and when you're rebuilding, you don't really need to have a 30-year-old pass rusher be your best player on the team. I mean, by the time the Browns are going to win anything, it's going to be at least a couple years. And Myles Garrett's 30 years old. Like, how much more does he have left in the tank at that level to produce on this team? Like, I just don't think that it made a lot of sense. And by the way, they were put in this position because of their decision to make the Deshaun Watson trade. So because that didn't pan out and was like the all-time worst trade in NFL history to this point, and I don't think there's going to be a point of it changing.
Nope.
You had to sort of throw everything against the wall and see what happens now, because like you don't have picks, haven't had picks, don't have a quarterback. You're in rebuild mode. And so the only asset you had of true value was Myles Garrett. And it sucks because it's one of those bittersweet deals, like you've had this generational talent and he's had some good seasons, great seasons last year, an all-time great season. But unfortunately, it didn't equate to wins on the field. Myles did not want to be part of a rebuild. And I'm convinced that Myles didn't want to be here. I don't think he wanted to be here since his Super Bowl tour, out in wherever it was, where he was on, Radio Row and Eisen's show and doing all these things. And he let everyone know that he didn't want to be here and he wanted out, wanted to trade, wanted to be part of a winning organization. Well, guess what? He gets what he wants. He's now on a team that's going to try to win a Super Bowl with a really talented coach and a talented quarterback who's an aging veteran. But they have the pieces to potentially win a title. And now the Browns have a poor man's Myles Garrett in Verse, and there's upside. Like, he could still become a really, really, really good player, even though he already is a really good player. But he's only 2 years in the league, and he got a haul of picks. I mean, I anybody who's saying same old Browns today, I think that this is not a same old Browns situation.
I agree with you here. Now, we got to say that the Rams also made a great trade.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer for the Rams, right?
Absolutely.
They are in their Super Bowl window. Matthew Stafford is old.
Yep.
He was still great last year. They are a legit Super Bowl contender. They traded a good young player, Jared Verse. Maybe he's a top 20 pass rusher, top 25, whatever. I mean, he's a good pass rusher. But you got the best guy. And while Myles Garrett did not equate to winning much here in Cleveland, he will help them be better. There's no doubt the Rams are a better football team now with this trade than they were before. So it's a win for the Rams 100%. Now, I agree with you that this could be a big win for the Browns in the long term also. Now, they've got to get those picks right. But first of all, I know a lot of people thought, well, maybe you get 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett. Well, has any player been traded? Even the Deshaun Watson trade, it was 3 first-round picks. Yes, you gave up 3 first-round picks, but you got a guy in Deshaun Watson who was at the time worth at least, obviously he was a first-round pick. So it was like 3 for 1. In this case, you're getting a 27 first-round pick. Now it's probably going to be a late pick because the Rams are a Super Bowl contender. Jared Verse was a first-round pick. I'd rather have Jared Verse than the 2028 first-round pick. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Right? I mean, you got
100%.
a good young ascending player on a rookie contract.
Yeah, I mean, like if you traded Myles Garrett for just all of these draft picks, wouldn't you be trying to replace Myles Garrett in some capacity?
That's right.
So now you've already replaced him, and I say replaced him, like you're not replacing Myles Garrett.
No.
You're trying to fill a void.
Yes. Right.
Period. And if you used one of the first-round picks that the Rams maybe would have sent you instead of Jared Verse, well, you'd be taking a rookie out of college who's never played in the NFL.
That's right.
As opposed to a guy who's played 2 years in the league and is a Pro Bowler. Back to back.
And Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2024. So you now have the last two Defensive Rookies of the Year. And remember, there's not an AFC and NFC. There's one Defensive Rookie of the Year in the whole league. And the Browns have the last two on their roster. Again, you're right. Nobody is going to try to pretend, or nobody should try to pretend, that Jared Verse will have the impact, at least initially, and probably not ever, that Myles Garrett had. But if you had to replace Myles Garrett, this is one of the best choices you could make because he's already pretty good, and he's young, and he's under team control for 3 years. The sack numbers for a guy at 2 years in are good. If you look at the pressure rate and some of these other things, all the analytics are very strong on him. I know some people get uptight on analytics, so if you just look at last year, 7.5 sacks. For Myles Garrett, that's nothing. But for most players, like as a second-year player, that's pretty good. 7.5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So, and to your point on, how much longer is Myles Garrett going to be good? I mean, you never know, right? Lawrence Taylor, his last really good year, he was 31. Aaron Donald retired after his age 32 season. On the other hand, Reggie White was great till 37. So you never know. Reggie White had 16 sacks at the age of 37, which is just ridiculous. So maybe Myles Garrett's going to be good for 5-6 years. However, if you believe, and it's a big if, because even though I think he's done better the last 2 drafts, I'm still not a believer in Andrew Berry. But we do know that Andrew Berry drafted well in 26 outside of the Dylan Gabriel pick. And at least on paper, the 25 draft outside of the Dylan Gabriel pick. And on paper, that he's drafted well in the 26 draft. We don't know until the guys are on the field, but I think we all feel good about what they did. Now, if you look at next year and what's supposed to be not just a great quarterback draft, which is, who knows, but on what's supposed to be just a great draft in general next year, the Browns next year have 2 first-round picks, a second, a third, 3 fourths, 2 fifths, and 2 sevenths. So a lot. Forget the 6th, the 7th. In the first 5 rounds alone, they have 9 picks, and obviously 2 in the first round. So a lot of draft capital there. They have 2 second-round picks already in the 28 draft, and obviously 2 third-round picks in the 29 draft. Yeah, in a perfect world, you would have, in addition to what you got, maybe gotten a first-round pick in 28 instead of a second-round pick. But ultimately, the Rams did not want to. I was reading some guys that cover the Rams and stuff. They did not want to trade Jared Verse. They wanted to add Myles Garrett to Jared Verse.
Of course they did. Yeah.
And the Browns were not going to make this deal unless Jared Verse was a part of it. The Browns definitely would have gotten a first-round pick in 28 had they not demanded Jared Verse, and maybe they would have gotten, my guess is they would have gotten a 27 first, a 28 first, and like a 29 second instead of a 29 third. That's my guess, had they not, and maybe more, maybe another draft pick had they not gotten Verse. But the Browns looked at Verse as worth more than a first-round pick, and I kind of do too, because he was a first-round pick, and he's already good, as you said. If you had made this trade for just draft picks, you would be looking to find a guy like this. You can't even say find a guy like Myles Garrett. They just don't. They exist once a decade. You just want, but could Jared Verse be that next level, that second tier, Pro Bowl caliber?
Yeah.
Yes, he already is.
He already is.
Yeah. And so, I think ultimately it was the right move to trade Myles Garrett. It stinks that it's come to this. And the Browns are to blame between the Deshaun Watson trade and there's so many failures at drafting before last year. They put themselves in a position where they've had to trade their best player in modern franchise history, and that sucks, and I get it. I understand why fans are pissed. I really do. And if Myles Garrett helps lead the Rams to the Super Bowl next year, you're going to be pissed. And if the Browns get good in 27 or 28 or even 29 and Myles Garrett's still good, you're going to be like, shit, we still could have had him and he's still really good. But I think where the Browns are right now, and with Myles Garrett not wanting to be here, you're 100% right. He doesn't want to be here. I think this was the right move. And I think what they got in return is a pretty darn good haul. I think so.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. And obviously, fans are going to feel a certain way. And when you're a fan of a team that has not had a lot of success, you gravitate towards a player like a Myles Garrett or like Joe Thomas.
That's right.
This is all you've got. And it's like, I mean, Josh Cribbs, Bernie Kosar. Like, just think about some of the names. And
Phil Dawson.
Yeah, and those guys aren't Hall of Famers like Joe Thomas and Myles Garrett. But look, it sucks. It's part of the business. You've had Myles Garrett for 9 seasons. Yeah. Like, guy's been an awesome player. He's done things the right way outside of his speeding, and I don't know. It's sad to see him go. It's sad to ever lose a good player, let alone a great player, a Hall of Famer like Myles Garrett. But the reality is the show must go on.
Yeah.
The show must go on. And now the Browns have a haul of draft picks. They have a good player. So, like, they'll fill that void, at least, temporarily, for this upcoming season with Jared Verse in there, who's a very young player. I'm excited to see this guy play and see where his ceiling can be. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You already know he's really good. Like, will he ever be Myles Garrett? I would bet that he is not.
Yeah.
But can he be a tier underneath that? And that is a very high tier, by the way. If it's just below Myles Garrett, yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think he could be. He's already a really good player, and he's a Pro Bowler. So, could he be an All-Pro? Maybe. We'll see. The guy's only played 2 years in the league.
Yeah,
let's see what he's got.
And look, like, Myles Garrett's 30. He may only have a few more years left to play at that level.
Yeah.
And by the way, now we're going to find out, like, what's Myles Garrett on a really good team? When Myles Garrett has to play every snap as hard as he possibly can, and can't take a snap off from time to time and go get his numbers that look really amazing.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
I think we're also going to find out how good really is the rest of this defense, because
fair enough.
Myles Garrett took, if you're Lamar Jackson today, Dustin, if you're Joe Burrow today, you're like, okay, well, Jared Verse, good player, but you're taking a sigh of relief that you don't have to face Myles Garrett twice a year anymore.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. And now other teams, there was so much focus. When you faced the Browns, the focus was on Myles Garrett, 100%. You were worried about him more than anyone else. Now the Browns don't have that one player anymore. They've got a number of very good players, but they don't have that one super elite, all-time great player. Now, could Jared Verse turn into that? Can Carson Schlesinger turn into that? They've played 2 years in 1 year. It's been very impressive for both of them. Maybe they turn into that. At this point, they don't have that one player at that level. And now, I'll be curious to see, because I was already concerned a little bit about a slide of the defense without Jim Schwartz. So now you lost your DC, one of the best DCs in football for a first-year DC, and now you've traded the best pass rusher in football for a very good pass rusher. It's not like they went from the best to garbage. They went from the best to very good, but not the best. So there's a lot. We've talked so much about the offense, and the offense has a lot of improvement to show. But the defense has something to prove too this year without Myles Garrett and without Jim Schwartz. And it's going to be fascinating to see how it looks.
Yeah, I think it is that we have no idea what this new DC's defense is going to look like, if it's going to translate to the personnel that we have. But you know what? I'm kind of like excited about the idea to give this guy a chance. And certainly, Myles comes off his best season ever under Jim Schwartz, and we need to give this new defensive coordinator a chance. And if Myles didn't like certain things or what have you, like that could be a problem too, because you need the young guys to buy in to the new defensive coordinator's philosophy and scheme. And now you've again, I'm not saying that I wanted to get rid of Myles Garrett, but there's at least an opportunity here to have a young player come in, a new face on the defensive line who has not been in the system before, who didn't play for Jim Schwartz last year, And so the buy-in will be there from Verse. Verse is obviously gonna want to be a big part of this defense and learn it and help everybody else come along the way.
So Jared Verse may be kind of the new leader on the D-line. We don't know. We'll see. We know Carson Schlesinger is the new leader, or last year became the new leader of the linebacking group. Well, let's talk about the secondary for a minute, because there's another veteran, excellent player on this team. And you wonder, Denzel Ward, he's been a great player for the Browns. He's clearly been their second best player on defense behind Myles for a number of years. I think what's interesting, Zach Jackson pointed this out to me yesterday. Denzel Ward, unlike Myles Garrett, has always been a guy that's always been here. You know, we've talked for years, Myles not at OTAs and this thing. Denzel Ward has been at every OTA. He's always at these things, but this year he hasn't been. And you wonder if he may want out too, and if the Browns would be willing to trade him. Now, obviously, he's not going to bring back anywhere close to a haul like Myles Garrett did. Denzel's more injury prone. He plays an important position, but a less important position than pass rusher. And while he's very good, he's not the level of player that Myles Garrett is. But he's an older player on a very young defense. I think Grant Delpit's another possibility, and maybe Emmanuel McNeil Warren is going to be the new leader down the line in the secondary. I don't know. Could you see them moving Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit on the last year of his contract, or do you think at this point they'll stand pat with what they've got?
Well, it is fascinating that you bring up what Zach's kind of intuition says about Denzel typically being here.
Yeah.
And has always been the I'm going to be there type of guy.
Yeah.
Now, who knows? He could have a vacation planned. That's
sure,
or whatnot, and we don't even know. It's just it's his time. It's his volunteer workouts right now. So it's like you can't really criticize players who are not here. But it is fascinating because sometimes guys who are always there and then they step away for a situation like this. There was a defensive coordinator coaching change. They're in a rebuild. There's a new head coach. Like there could be some sentiment from Denzel as now he's becoming a truly grizzled veteran in this league.
Yeah, saying,
I want to step back and kind of see how things play out here, and also maybe put the ball in the Browns court a little bit and see what they're saying. Yeah, it's certainly possible that he might want out. Now, remember, Denzel, unlike Myles, is a Northeast Ohio kid. Like, he's born and raised here, played at Ohio State. So, like, Browns fan, growing up and that whole deal. So it's a little bit different, I think, for a guy like Denzel. Like, he may not want to give up on his hometown team. And I think that's definitely a fair thought. And I have it, and I think it's real. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And when you've been in the league for as long as Denzel now, how many years now for Denzel? What's he going on? 7?
I'm going to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's see.
Or more? I don't know.
Oh, let's see. His rookie year was 2018, so more than that. So it's 8. Yeah. This will be his 9th season coming up.
Yeah, so 9 years, yeah.
He's been a Pro Bowler 3 years in a row and 4 of the last 5 years.
Yeah, phenomenal corner. But it hasn't really, again, equated to a bunch of wins for the Browns since he's been here, outside of his, his 3rd year in the league when they went to the playoffs and during COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know. I certainly don't want to see Denzel go. But, again, Denzel, great player when he's healthy, but has missed some time.
Yeah. I'm on the mindset that I would lean towards not trading Denzel, because I don't think you're going to get a ton back from him, even though he's very good. So
not getting a Myles Garrett haul.
Right.
No way.
I still want some veteran. I don't want to trade every veteran on the team just because we traded Myles Garrett. So I hold on to Denzel Ward, especially because, as you said, I haven't heard anything about him wanting to be traded. Now, if somebody made me a good enough offer, I would be open-minded to it if I'm Andrew Berry, and I'm sure he will be.
I think realistically, if you're trying to trade Denzel, you're probably looking at like a 2 and a 3. I think maybe a late first. You're not getting much more than that in terms of like first round pick value.
Right.
It's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
If I could get a first round pick in the 27 draft, I would trade Denzel, but I don't think you can.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think you can. But listen, I guess you never know. But I wouldn't be shocked if Grant Delpit got traded, though. And now, for him, maybe you're talking a third-round pick, maybe even a fourth-round pick. But he's a free agent at the end of the year. That might be a situation where maybe you see how the season goes, and if it's going poorly, you trade him at the deadline or something for whatever you can get since he's a free agent at the end of the year. And obviously, they just drafted a safety in this draft. By the way, one other thing on football, did you see A.J. Brown? I know there's so much talk about, obviously, Myles Garrett, especially here, but did you see A.J. Brown get traded too?
I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see. I'm sort of surprised by that a little bit, just because of the whole scandal that was going along with that.
Yeah,
but it gets done.
Yeah, first round. The Patriots, the Eagles get a 2028 first round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick in return for A.J. Brown. Good player, very good player.
Very good player.
Patriots now have a legit number one receiver, but he was being a bit of a pain in the neck in Philly. So I don't blame the Eagles for wanting to trade him. And obviously they're as good at using draft capital as really any team in the NFL. They generally draft smart. So there you go. We haven't been on together on the podcast since the Cavs season ended. So let's just talk for a minute about not necessarily how it ended, but obviously they're bringing the GM back, which we agree with. The coach is coming back. Okay. What's your thoughts right now on how imperative do you think it is to the Cavs to make big moves this offseason? And as we see the finals begin tomorrow, who are you rooting for?
I mean, it's hard to not root for Wemby.
Yeah.
His emotion after winning the OKC series in that Game 7.
Yeah.
I don't know that, honestly, that I've seen a passion from an NBA player like what he showed in quite some time. I mean, the guy really wants to win, and he's like hugging his teammates. They're like coming up to him, like,
yeah,
just like embracing them, unlike something I've seen in quite some time. I'm definitely rooting for the Spurs here. The Knicks, there's not a lot of unlikable guys on the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like, Brunson's a nice guy, though he's plays for the Knicks, and I'm frustrated that they swept us and that whole thing. But I don't know. It's going to be a hell of a series. I do think
I agree.
Gonna be a really, really good series.
I think it'll go 6 or 7
at least. Yeah,
I'm leaning towards the Spurs as well, and I'm rooting for the Spurs, and I love Wemby. But the Knicks are the only. They're the only of the three, I don't count hockey, but of baseball, football, basketball, they're the only team, as you know, I grew up hating the New York teams besides St. John's in college basketball. I never hated the Knicks. I was kind of neutral on the Knicks. I didn't root for them, but I didn't root against them. Whereas the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets, I root for those teams to lose all the time.
Sure.
So I've always been kind of neutral on the Knicks, but I am rooting for the Spurs, even though I have some friends and family that are huge Knicks fans and want them to win. But, I don't know. I don't want him to win.
During your childhood in New York, the Knicks weren't very good. I mean, they had moments where they were, playoff runs, but they had to face MJ every year.
Yeah, in my 20s they were good. In the 90s, they got good with Patrick Ewing and those teams.
When's the last finals run? Was that 90?
No. Well, they played the Heat later. Long after Michael. In the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a war. They used to beat the crap out of each other. I can't remember the timeline of the years on that, but obviously the Spurs are a favorite. You see them at minus 200. Do the Cavs have to make a blockbuster trade? Yes or no, in your mind?
Yes.
I feel like that way, too. I don't want to run it back with the same guys. I really don't.
I hate to say it, but, Myles got traded. And you're going to have to trade Mobley.
Yeah, I think so, too. All right, finally, the Guardians with a big series starting tonight in the Bronx. They play the Yankees 6 of the next 9 games, so they will be challenged. The Guardians, who had been red hot, have cooled off here in the last week. They've lost 2 in a row and 5 of their last 8 after dropping 2 of 3 to both Boston and Washington. They lost their last 2 games badly in Boston against Boston in Cleveland over the weekend, 9-1 and 9-4. The pitching matchups for these 3 games with the Yankees in the Bronx tonight, Joey Cantillo and Cam Schlittler. Cam Schlittler has been phenomenal in the second year of Major League Baseball. He's in the early Cy Young debate. Tomorrow, even better pitching matchup. Gavin Williams and Garrett Cole, absolutely fantastic matchup. Both those games tonight, tomorrow at 7:05 in the Bronx. And then the finale is on Thursday afternoon at 1:35, Slade Ciccone and Carlos Rodon. So the Guardians have been challenged by some good pitchers lately, and they're facing, especially the next 2 days, but really all 3 games of this series, you're facing excellent pitchers, and you will be for the next week plus. You got to face Jacob deGrom with the Rangers. Jack Leiter, I was going to say Al Leiter, his dad. You'll face Rodon again. It looks like you're going to face Garrett Cole again next week. You can face Garrett Cole twice in the next week. So obviously he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, even though he's just coming back from injury. So exciting time, and I'll be locked into this game in the Bronx tonight. All right, thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We didn't get to read any of the chats. Sorry about that, but there was too many, and we had too much to get to. Guardians, as you see, up 1.5 games in the Central. Thanks to Drew and Max for producing. Dustin and I will be back live Thursday morning at 8:30.
Yes, sir.
And Sean King will be on with me Thursday at 6 p.m. So 2 podcasts coming your way Thursday. I will be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show every day the rest of the week, including today. So there you go with that. And Dustin, you'll be on UCSS tomorrow,
yep.
Right?
Yes, sir.
All right, until then, we'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Bull and Fox, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.